Welcome, my name is Bijan Jamshidi, and this is the Aorus KD25F, a 24.5-inch 1080p 240Hz TN monitor with AMD FreeSync and a 0.5 millisecond response time. This is the second most requested monitor by you guys, right after the MSI MAG251RX, both of which are 240Hz. Now I'll be honest, I was pretty hesitant on doing a review on this since it's over a year old, and I figured there were better monitors out by this point, and I was right. Now that's not to say that it's bad, because it's not. It does still have some things going for it, kind of like how the like button has the YouTube algorithm going for my channel's growth. Speaking of, before this video can begin, just gently tap that like button until it turns blue. If it's gray, then I'll go homeless and I can't make any more videos. Okay, let's start with some of the good stuff, like the pixel response time. The KD25F advertises a 0.5 millisecond response time and has 3 overdrive settings which are named Quality, Balanced, and Speed, and also includes ELMB or Extreme Low Motion Blur, which they call Aim Stabilizer for whatever reason. Their naming and marketing is weird, but we'll get to that later. Starting with the overdrive set to Quality, things look about average. But don't just take my word for it. Here's what the BenQ Zowie XL2546 looks like with the equivalent settings, which, by the way, if you don't know already, is the best 240Hz gaming monitor. It looks pretty much the same. Moving to balance gives you less trailing than you would get with the quality setting, but loses slightly when compared to the Zowie with its overdrive set to high. Though the Zowie does introduce some overshoot, which is this bluish trail behind the ghost because it's receiving a little bit too much voltage, which may be an eyesore for some users. Personally though, I don't think it's that bad and it doesn't ruin the visual experience, at least for me. Next we have the speed overdrive setting, which gives about the same amount of overshoot as the Zowie with its high setting, which I think it's fine. It's not terrible until we look at its dark gray performance. That's not so fine. It kinda looks like how a VA panel would perform. I'm not surprised here though, because most monitors I've tested usually apply way too much voltage on their highest overdrive setting to hit their advertised 1 millisecond, or in this case, 0.5 millisecond response time, even though no one will use it. And real quick, for those that will have a tough time playing at 240 FPS, here's what 120 Hz looks like, and then 60 Hz. The balanced overdrive setting on these refresh rates are best since that's the setting that will produce the best results with none too minimal overshoot. Now back to 240 Hz, apart from the speed overdrive setting, things do get much better when we enable Aim Stabilizer, or ELMB, making the image extremely clear. But I would only recommend using ELMB on the quality overdrive setting, because if we use the speed setting, it replaces all the ghosts with overshoot, which is much more noticeable and uglier in game compared to your standard ghosts. Now there are some drawbacks when using the ELMB on the KD25F, which are the 2 standard issues that most monitors face when using ELMB. Number 1, it uses the backlight strobing technique, which can give users a headache. And number 2, it lowers the monitor's peak brightness from an awesome 400 nits down to 170 nits, which is a 57.5% decrease in brightness, making it quite darker than some people would prefer. Personally though, I was fine with 170 nits, and since I game with my window shades closed and with my room light on, I had no issue seeing what I needed to in bright games like Valorant. Though I can see how this would be a big issue when it comes to darker games like Escape from Tarkov, Rainbow Six Siege in nighttime settings, and so on. So for those that have this monitor or are interested in getting it, the best overdrive setting is balanced, since you get almost no overshoot, if any at all, through a wide range of refresh rates. If you plan on using ELMB, I would recommend the quality overdrive setting. By the way, if you're enjoying the quality of this video so far, support me by hitting the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 100 million subscribers by the end of the year. I saw you haven't hit it yet, Josh. Hit it now. Okay, next we have gamut coverage and color accuracy, which the KD25F does at least fine in both areas. In gamut coverage, it covers 93% of the sRGB color space, which isn't the advertised 100%, but I doubt you'll really notice. It covers 68% of Adobe RGB and 73% of the DCI-P3 color space, so for you professionals that also like to game and only want one monitor, this isn't for you. When it came to color accuracy, things were pretty meh when uncalibrated, producing an average delta E of 3.41 with a peak brightness of 408 nits and a contrast ratio of 1008:1. Calibrating the display gave us much better color accuracy, producing an average delta E of 0.91, but lowering the brightness to 402 nits and the contrast ratio to 998:1. Though I wouldn't be too worried about it since the decrease in brightness and contrast is marginal and no one will notice. However, what people will notice is the overall poor color reproduction and the way this panel looks. Being that this is a TN panel and not IPS, IPS panels with a higher delta E, such as 5 for example, tend to look much better than TN panels with accurate colors like the KD25F with its delta E of 0.91. The same goes for viewing angles as well. IPS monitors usually look great from all around, whereas this TN panel does pretty poor from the top, having a high contrast effect, doing fine from the sides, and doing extremely poor on the bottom, having a lot of angle discoloration and giving off a noticeably green tint. This is fine though because this is a TN panel and Aorus never branded this as a media consumption beast, just the world's first tactical gaming monitor, whatever the hell that means. And being that this is 240Hz, responsiveness is extremely good. As I always mention, I don't have any actual data on input lag, being that I don't have a proper way to test it yet, hopefully soon. But as someone who can process information extremely quick, this is up there with some of the best, if not the best. Whether you want to believe me is up to you though, because I know some of you want actual data. Okay, let's talk about some of the stuff that's just straight up bad. I promise I'll try my best not to be too harsh. I want to start with the black equalizer because this is easily the worst black equalizer I have ever seen. It ranges from 0 to 20, with 10 being the default, allowing you to adjust it in increments of 1, but let's take a look at how it looks in Escape from Tarkov. At the default 10 setting, things look totally normal, with the Zowie coming in a little brighter with its black equalizer off. Increasing the Aorus's black equalizer from 10 to 11 puts it on par with the Zowie when it's off, and this is where it all starts to fall apart. Here's the Aorus at 12, 13, 14, 15, and 20. This is not a black equalizer. This is a white filter. A black equalizer doesn't just add a filter on top of what you're looking at. A black equalizer is supposed to alter the gamut of black and gray shades of colors. But Bijan Jamshidi guy, this is unfair. Tarkov is like the most extreme example there is. Okay, fair point I guess. But that's no excuse when you have something like the Zowie, which not only increases the brightness of the dark areas, but also doesn't overexpose the bright areas. Though the Aorus does get credit for including a color vibrance feature, and a good one at that, but it's hard to tell because it's super dark, so let's move on to Rainbow Six Siege. Here's 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, and 20. Color saturation is fine though. So yeah, it doesn't really matter what game you're playing. The black equalizer is just awful, at least for me, because when I asked all of you how high you enable your black equalizer, 37% of you said you don't use it, 17% said you use it but in a low setting, some of you said on and cranked, son, and 32% of you said you don't have a black equalizer at all. Rest in pepperoni. So for the people that like to use a low setting, or just don't use it at all, 10 or 11 for the Aorus is fine, and if you like to use a higher setting, well, good luck. Okay, that's enough negativity for now. Let's continue with the good stuff like the OSD. The KD25F has a single nipple on the bottom of the monitor to control the entire OSD, but I won't be going over it since the software OSD, which is called Aorus Sidekick, includes everything you need and I strongly recommend using it. You can adjust your profiles, brightness, contrast, sharpness, black equalizer, color vibrance, low blue light, super resolution, which is basically just more sharpness, gamma, color temp, overdrive, ELMB, FreeSync, and crosshair. Man, that was a mouthful. Speaking of crosshairs, the crosshair on this monitor is the coolest one I've ever seen. You can select the pre-made one, or click on the little pencil to create your own. You can hold left click to draw, and right click to erase in case you made a mistake so you don't have to start all over again. Back to the OSD, you can set any software you want for any of the profiles, so they activate when the software is in the foreground, making life a whole lot easier than having to fumble with these settings like you do with the hardware-based OSDs. Trust me, some of you didn't listen to me before and told me that they wish they took the OSD into consideration, so this is a good thing. Next we have the picture-in-picture or picture-by-picture mode, hotkeys for certain OSD functions, general settings for your source selector, transparency, timeout, LED indicator, and RGB control. Then we have ANC, which is the monitor's built-in noise cancellation. Wait, what? Noise cancellation built into the monitor? Yes, my friends, apparently this has noise cancellation built in, not to block out unwanted sounds from coming into your headphones, but to block out unwanted noise so people can hear you better. What you have to do is take a microphone with a 3.5mm male end and plug it into the microphone port on the back of the monitor. This does not work with USB. Next, select where the microphone is with the Sidekick software and voila! You're good to go. So, how does it sound?
This is with active noise cancelling off with white noise in the background with my Beyerdynamics MX300's Gen 2.
This is with active noise cancellation set to low with the white noise in the background with my Beyerdynamics MX300's Gen 2. And then this is with the noise cancellation set to high, which is the default, with the white noise in the background with my Beyerdynamics MX300's Gen 2. Back to the Sidekick software, the only issue I have with the software is that when you close it, you can't just click on a shortcut to open it again. You have to go to your icons, click Sidekick, click Open, which makes no sense. I wish it would just open when you clicked on a shortcut like every other OSD in the entire planet. LTTstore.com. In terms of design, I think this is one of the coolest looking gaming monitors out there. It has sharp angles everywhere, the legs are made of metal with a wire routing hole built into it, the carrying handle portion of the stand is made of metal with the middle portion being this piano black gloss plastic which hides the RGB LEDs, and the front portion of the stand is plastic. The monitor itself is all high quality plastics with more piano black gloss plastics to house more hidden RGB LEDs. It's busy and I like it. The front of the monitor is pretty standard, including 7mm top and side bezels and a chin that's 22.5mm thick. There's also some Aorus branding with the active noise cancelling microphone hole right under it. It has two HDMI ports, one DisplayPort 1.2 port, a USB 3.0 Type B port to power the two USB 3.0 Type A ports, a headphone and microphone jack, a Kensington lock, and an AC power switch? I have no clue either. It has 100 by 100 VESA mounting support, so you can mount this monitor to an arm or a stand. It has 130mm of height adjustment, -5 to +21 degrees of tilt, 20 degrees of swivel, and a 90-degree right pivot. Then lastly, we have their marketing. I'm sorry, Aorus, nothing personal, but you'll never learn if I don't make fun of it. Apparently, the KD25F is the world's first tactical monitor. First of all, what the hell is a tactical monitor? What's so tactical about it? Second, and this has nothing to do with the monitor, but it reminded me of something that made me laugh so hard I almost passed out, not even kidding. But why is this girl looking through the iron sights with her nose? It reminds me of Snake aiming through his eye patch. Anyway, at $500 and currently out of stock as of this recording because of human malware, is this something you should get? I mean, at this price point, there are probably better options, right? Well, yeah, there is, which kind of makes it hard for me to recommend. Don't get me wrong, it's overall a good monitor, but if we look at something like the BenQ Zowie XL2546S or the upcoming K model, which has the same panel, that has a better black equalizer and better ELMB because of the 2 times higher peak brightness. Other than that, they're both on par with each other with pretty much everything else. And I see no reason why you should get this over the Zowie, especially since they're both $500. Now, if we compare it to something like a 240Hz fast IPS panel, those have come a long way and for cheaper. Let's take a look at the MSI MAG251RX, for example. It's got pretty much the same ELMB, hitting a peak brightness of 160 nits instead of 170, which you won't notice that 10 nit deficit. It's got the same amount of functionality for the software-based OSD, about the same features, a better black equalizer, the same responsiveness in terms of input lag, and has much better colors because it's IPS, which in turn gives you a better media consumption experience, all while being $140 cheaper at $360. The only downside of that is that it's just an ugly monitor. And now that I lay that information in front of you, you probably realize that this isn't anything special. But again, it's not bad, it's just too expensive for what it offers. If it were more like $350, $375, this would be much easier to recommend. And I don't want to hear, but TN is faster than IPS, so it has to be better than the MSI, right? Listen, unless you can show me that this is better than the MSI MAG251RX, or any monitor with that panel for that matter, I'll listen. But until then, I have the results, and the results say that this is too expensive for what it offers. But hey, at least it looks really awesome. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. Supports the channel anyways. If you guys want to check out any of the stuff I featured in this video, check out the links in the video description. Don't forget to follow me on my socials, which are in a pinned comment down in the comment section. And as always, have a great day every day. Peace.